Hello friends, welcome to the class of high voltage engineering. So in previous lectures, we have discussed the theories associated with the various techniques used to generate high voltages and high currents in high voltage laboratories. The purpose of generating the high voltage and the high current, as you know, it is for the testing the quality of the insulation and the equipment when they are subjected to the over voltage stresses and the short circuit current stresses. So as we have discussed the various techniques in previous lectures, today our agenda is to discuss the examples related to the generation of the high voltage. So by understanding the examples of the various techniques or the methods used in high voltage laboratories for the purpose of generating high voltage, one can design his or her own generation technology to produce the required magnitude of voltage for it for the research purpose. So let us start with the examples related to the HV generation using impulse voltage. I am also going to discuss about the examples related to the cascade connection of resonant transformer or simply the resonant transformer. And of course, I am going to touch upon the high voltage DC generation using voltage multiplier circuit. Okay, so let us begin with the first example. Yes, of course, as you can see in the photographs, I am going to discuss about the impulse voltage generator, which is multiple in stages. So let me read the statement of the problem. An impulse generator has 12 capacitors of 0.12 microfarad and 200 kilovolt rating. The wavefront and wavetail resistances are 1.25 kilo ohms and 4 kilo ohms respectively. If the load capacitor including that of the test object is 1000 picofarad, find out the wavefront time and wavetail time. So here the requirement of the problem is to determine the value of time of intervals. During theory session, we have seen that the impulse voltage wave is classified by its polarity, peak magnitude and time of interval. The time of intervals are further classified into two parts. One is the wavefront time, which denotes that the wave attains the peak magnitude in a very short duration. Let me draw to understand it more. So here this rising stage indicates the wavefront portion and this reducing rate determines the wavetail time. So considering the definitions of wavefront time and wavetail time, then wavefront time is defined as the the time taken by the wave to attain the peak magnitude. Okay, so this is the wavefront time usually denoted by TF, and the time taken by the wave to attain 50% of peak magnitude. So this is 50% of peak magnitude, and this on time axis it will determines the tail time. So the time taken by the wave to attain 50% of peak magnitude is known as wave tail time. So in our problem we need to calculate these two times of this generated wave shape by available impulse voltage generator. So one more thing which you can observe over here, that wavefront resistors and wave tail resistors are in terms of kilo ohms. So ideally this impulse voltage generator is used to produce the switching over voltages which are of longer duration. Okay, and to produce the lightning impulse voltages, the wavefront resistors and wave tail resistors are of very small in magnitude. So let me write the available data. Okay, here you can see these are the two equations through which you can calculate the wavefront time and the wave tail time. So wavefront time is calculated from 3 into R1 C1 into C2 upon C1 plus C2, where C1 represents the equivalent capacitance of generator and C2 represents the load capacitor. R1 represents wavefront resistor and of course TF wavefront time. Tail time is 0.7 into RF plus RT into C1 plus C2, where RT is the wave tail resistance. So in our problem we have this data where charging voltage, that is of course a DC voltage, 200 kilovolt. The number of stages of this impulse voltage generator is 12. The capacitance is 0.12 microfarad. CL, that is the load capacitor, so C2 is 1000 picofarad, R1 is 1.25 kilo ohms, R2 is 4 kilo ohms, TF and TT we need to calculate. So first of all, as I said, C1 represents the generator capacitance, so it is the equivalent capacitance during the discharging, because as you can see over here, when the sphere gaps are kept open circuited, all the capacitors are connected in parallel. Okay, so they will charge with the same magnitude of voltage. When the voltage across this sphere gap becomes more than its withstanding capacity, the short circuit takes place. So ideally this spark gap gets closed. As a result, it will make the capacitors in series. Okay, so this is actually the operating principle of multi-stage impulse voltage generator or max impulse voltage generator, where the capacitors are charging in parallel and discharging in series. So we need to consider this even during the discharging phenomena. Okay, so during discharging all the capacitors comes connected in series. So equivalent capacitance will be now C1 is equal to C by N, so it will gives me the per stage of capacitance value 0.01 microfarad. C2 1000 picofarad, so in terms of microfarad it is written as 0.001 microfarad. So now we have R1, R2, C1 and C2. So by using these values, once we put all these values into this equation of wavefront time, we will get wavefront time as 3.41 microsecond. Okay, this is the wavefront time. This is the time taken by the wave to achieve the peak magnitude. Okay, and once we have this tail time equation, okay, we can determine the tail time 40.42 microsecond. Okay, so the example is very simple to calculate, so it only needs the use of these two equations, wavefront time and wave tail time. Based on these equations, if once you have the values of RF, RT, C1 and C2, you can easily calculate the wavefront time and the wave tail time. Okay, so the wavefront time for this example 1 is 3.41 microsecond and tail time is 40.42 microsecond. Okay, the similar example, but some modifications are there. So here we have the impulse generator of 8 stage, which has 1.2 microfarad capacitor, 1.2 microfarad capacitor rated for 167 kilovolt. So we need to determine its maximum discharge energy if it has to produce 1 by 50 microseconds. So according to the American standard, the lightning impulse voltage wave is standardized by 1 by 50 microsecond across the load capacitor of 15,000 picofarad. So now in this case we need to also determine the wavefront resistances and wave tail resistances. So in previous example we have wavefront and wave tail resistances, whereas in this in this problem we have the wavefront time and wave tail time. So same equations are used to determine the wavefront time, wavefront resistance and wave tail resistances. Okay, so now in this case we have to apply the reverse procedure because we know the wavefront time and the wave tail time, but wavefront resistance and wave tail resistances are unknown to us. So the procedure which is applied is quite similar to the previous one. So these are the available data. Number of stages are 8. The charging voltage is 167 kilovolt. Generator capacitance, that is 1.2 microfarad. It is not the equivalent one, so we need to get the equivalent capacitance before applying the value to the C1. CL is the load capacitor. Okay, we need to determine the discharge energy W, wavefront resistance and wave tail resistance. The wavefront time and wave tail time, okay, here it is given as 1 by 50 microsecond. 1 by 50 microsecond. Okay, this is the time interval or this is the wave shape. So let us compare it with this equation TF by TT. Okay, so from this we can say wavefront time is 1 microsecond and wave tail time is 50 microsecond. Okay, so if you have 1.2 by 50, then wavefront time is 1.2 microsecond and tail time is 50 microsecond. Similarly, if you have switching surge of 250 by 2500 microsecond, then wavefront time will be of 250 microsecond and wave tail time is 2500 microsecond. So C1 Cg upon N, so 1.2 by 8, so 0.15 microfarad, that is C1 value, and C2 0.015 microfarad. So W, okay, as you can see over here, there are the capacitors. Okay, what we are going to discharge, we are discharging the capacitors, and as you know that the energy stored by the capacitor is represented by W is equal to 1/2 CV square. Okay, and that is the energy which we are going to discharge by spark overing this sphere gap. So W is equal to 1/2 C1 V square. So this is the first rating of the impulse voltage generator. Okay, the impulse voltage generators can be specified by the energy stored, okay, the gross energy stored, then the nominal output voltage, which is equals to the charging voltage multiplied by number of stages, and the equivalent capacitance during the discharging phase. Okay, so W is equal to 1/2 C1 V square. So 1 by 2, C1 is 0.15 microfarad, N square. Okay, so nominal output voltage, so V is equal to N into charging voltage. V is equal to N into VDC. So VDC is 167 kilovolt. Okay, that is given in our problem data, 167 kV, and N is the number of stages, which is given as 8. So V square, so N square into V square, so it is added into this term. So at the end we will get the energy rating of this impulse voltage generator as 133.867 kilojoules. The next is to calculate the wavefront times and wavefront resistances and wave tail resistances. So here you can see the same equations are applying over here to calculate the wavefront resistors and wave tail resistors. So we have TF, that is 1 microsecond, and TT, tail time, that is 50 microsecond. So by putting all these values we can get RF is equal to 24.4 ohms and RT as 408.5 ohms. Okay, so we can say this is the lightning impulse voltage wave. Clear? So let's move ahead. So let us take the example related to the resonant transformer. So here I have shown one photograph. So this is the 3-stage cascaded resonant transformer. So this is number 1 stage, this is number 2 stage, and this is number 3 stage. Okay, so let us discuss the example related to this resonant transformer. So problem is 100 kVA 400 volt by 250 kilovolt testing transformer has 8% leakage reactance and 2% resistance on 100 kVA base. A cable has to be tested at 500 kilovolt. A cable has to be tested at 500 kilovolt using this above transformer, that is a testing transformer, which is used as a resonant transformer at 50 hertz. So here the testing transformer is operated as a resonant transformer at 50 hertz of frequency. If the charging current of the cable at 500 kilovolt is 0.4 ampere, find out the series inductance required. Okay, the series inductance which is required to obtain the resonance condition at 50 hertz frequency. Assume 2% resistance for the inductor to be used and the connecting leads, neglecting the dielectric loss of the cable. What will be the input voltage and input power to the transformer? So we need to calculate in this problem are number one, the series inductance which is required to establish the resonance condition at power frequency of 50 hertz. We need to calculate the input voltage and the input power to the transformer as well. So the maximum current supplied by the testing transformer. Okay, you know the equation, simple Ohm's law. If we are considering V is equal to I into R. Now as we are playing with AC, okay, so it is of course V is equal to I into Z. Okay, that is the one way through which we can calculate the maximum current. But in our case, we didn't know about the inductive reactance and all. So we cannot use that formula to calculate the maximum current which is being supplied by the testing transformer. But we have its kVA capacity and the voltage rating. Okay, so as the testing object, the cable is connected to the secondary of the testing transformer. So maximum current which is supplied by the testing transformer, in that case we need to consider the secondary voltage. So Imax is equal to kVA upon Vs, where Vs represents the secondary voltage. Okay, so 100 into 10 raised to 3 by 250 into 10 raised to 3. So 0.4 ampere, that is the maximum current which is supplied by the secondary of the testing transformer. So you can see that the current is very small. Okay, so the size of the conductor which is required to make the connection between the resonant transformer and your testing object is very thin, as the current rating is very small. So reactance, okay, reactance of the cable. Here how much value it is given. Here you can see this 500 kV, that will be the voltage at which you need to test your cable. Okay, so charging voltage is given as 500 kV and the current is 0.4 ampere. So by taking V upon I, we can determine the reactance of the cable, that is XC. So XC is equal to VC upon I. Okay, so we will get the reactance of the cable as 1250 kilo ohm. That will be the value of the reactance of the cable. Okay, and the cable what we are testing actually the insulation, so we need to consider the capacitive reactance. The leakage reactance of the testing transformer is given as 8%, okay, on 100 kVA base. So leakage reactance of the transformer is percentage X by 100 into V upon I. Okay, so from this formula we can determine the leakage reactance. XL is equal to 50 kilo ohms. Okay, we want to determine the additional reactance which needs to be connected in series with the secondary of resonant transformer. Okay, so we are more interested to obtain the inductance of secondary winding of the testing transformer. So XL is percentage X by 100 into V upon I, where V you need to select the secondary voltage and I, that is secondary current. So ultimately XL is 50 kilo ohms. So as you know that the resonance condition XL is equal to XC. So additional reactance which is required is XC minus XL. So 1250 minus 50, so 1200 kilo ohm, that is the additional reactance which is required to establish XL is equal to XC, the resonance condition. So inductance, okay, the inductance, additional inductance, L is equal to 2 pi FL, F is equal XL is equal to 2 pi FL. That is the equation that you know to calculate the inductive reactance of the coil. XL is equal to 2 pi FL. So from that formula we can calculate L. So L is 3.2 kilo Henry. Okay, that is the inductance of the inductor which is required to connect in series with the secondary winding of the resonant transformer to establish the resonance condition at 50 Hz frequency. So now in data we have the resistance as well, the 2% resistance on 100 kVA base and 2% resistance for the inductor and the connecting leads. So overall resistance will be 4%. So ohmic value of the resistance which can be seen to the secondary side is 4 by 100 into V upon I. So V is 250 into 10 raised to 3 divided by 0.4. So it will give 25 kilo ohms. So excitation voltage E2, that is the induced EMF at secondary of transformer. So E2 is equal to I into R. Okay, why we need to take I into R? Because now the resonance condition is created, and during the resonance the impedance becomes equals to resistance only. So this E2 is equal to I into R. Okay, R is 25 kilo ohms. So E2, that is 10 kilovolt. So at the primary side, E1 is the voltage that is being induced at the primary side is E2 divided by Vs into Vp. Okay, the transformation ratio Vp upon Vs into E2. Okay, so based on that equation, the primary voltage will be of 16 volt only. Okay, the primary induced EMF is 16 volt, and the primary input power is V. Okay, E1 divided by primary voltage into 100. Okay, so it will give us 16 by 400 into 100 is equal to 4 kilowatts. So this is the input power required to the transformer for this available test procedure. Again for the impulse voltage generator, but here you have something new data compared to the previous ones. So here let us first read the statement. The 8-stage impulse generator has a stage capacitance of 0.13 microfarad and a charging voltage of 175 kilovolt. The test specimen capacitance is 500 picofarad. Find the wavefront and wavetail resistances needed to produce 1.2 by 50 microsecond impulse wave. What will be the maximum output voltage and efficiency of generator? Here the time constants are given to you, alpha and beta. Okay, alpha is 0.01426 into 10 raised to 6 second inverse, which is your discharging time constant, and beta is 4.8762 into 10 raised to 6 second inverse, which is your charging time constant for producing 1.2 by 50. So if you have alpha and beta value, in that cases we cannot go directly with the circuit equations. Okay, so here the procedure is somewhat different. So here you have new flavor to determine the wavefront and wave tail resistances when you have alpha and beta values. So in our data we have number of stage is equal to 8, C1 as 0.13 microfarad, not C1, CG. Okay, C2 is 500 picofarad, charging voltage 175 kilovolt, wavefront time 1.2 microsecond, tail time 50 microsecond, RF we need to calculate and RT we need to calculate. We need also to determine the maximum output voltage and the efficiency of generator. So alpha and beta value we have. So wavefront resistance we need to calculate, and you know the equation that beta. Okay, we have derived the equations for wavefront time and wave tail time to obtain those multiplying factors 3 and 0.7. Okay, so in those formula we have taken the help of this alpha and beta. So alpha and beta is nothing but they are the reciprocal of your time constant. So beta is equal to 1 upon R1 into C1 plus C2 upon C1 into C2. So C1 is 0.13 by 8. So it will be 0.01625 microfarad, and C2 is 500 picofarad, so 0.0005 microfarad. So by putting these values into this formula, we have beta is equal to 4.8762 into 10 raised to 6, and R1 as R1 we need to calculate. Okay, so in this equation only R1 is unknown to us. So by placing all the values at the end, we will get R1 as 422.76 ohm. Okay, similarly the alpha value, alpha is equal to 1 upon R1 plus R2 into C1 plus C2. So from this formula we can determine the R2 value. So R2 is 3763.88 ohms. Sorry, I forgot to write the unit. So it is ohms. Maximum voltage, as you know that the impulse voltage is the double exponential wave shape, and that double exponential wave shape can be represented by this formula. Okay, so Vm is equal to V0 upon K into beta minus alpha into e raised to minus alpha T1 minus e raised to minus beta T1. Now why we need to take T as a T1 value? Because we are interested in getting the maximum output voltage, and maximum output voltage means if we are considering the impulse voltage wave shape, then we need to consider the wavefront time. Okay, because wavefront time representing the time at which the wave attains a peak magnitude. So we need to consider this TF. We need to consider this TF as T1 value. Okay, so T1 is 1.2 microsecond. So VO that is your nominal output voltage. So nominal output voltage is N into VDC. Okay, the charging voltage multiplied by number of stage, it will give you the nominal output voltage, which is our expected value, but because of the involvement of the charging resistances, there always be some amount of voltage drop. So the actual voltage of the generator is always somewhat lower as compared to the expected one. So in our case the expected value is 1400 kilovolt. Now let us see what will be the value. Okay, what will be the maximum voltage value that we are getting from this impulse voltage generator. K is the multiplication of R and C, so R1 into C2. So R1 is wavefront resistor and C2 is a load capacitor. So K value is calculated as 2.1138 into 10 raised to minus 7. Okay, the unit of course it is second. Beta minus alpha, so it will give 4.86194 into 10 raised to 6 second inverse. So let me first wipe out this wave shape so that you can see. Okay, so now as you can see in our formula, so we have done with this portion. So now let us calculate this bracket term. So first is e raised to minus alpha T1. e raised to minus alpha t1. Okay, so alpha it is given in your data. Okay, this is this value, and t1 is 1.2 into 10 raised to minus 6. Okay, so ultimately 10 raised to 6 into 10 raised to minus 6, it is cancelled out. So finally e raised to minus alpha t1 is 0.983, and similarly beta t1 component is 2.8775 into 10 raised to minus 3. So by putting e raised to minus alpha t1, e raised to minus beta t1, beta minus alpha, k and v0, we will get the maximum output voltage of available impulse generator is approximately 1335 kilovolt. The expected value was 1400 kV, but how much we are getting? 1335 kilovolt. And as you know, the efficiency can be calculated from output divided by input into 100. Okay, so from this formula we can determine the efficiency of generator. So output voltage is 1335 kilovolt divided by 1400 kilovolt into 100. So the efficiency of the generator is found to be 95.36%. Okay, so this is how you need to calculate the example once you have the alpha and beta value. So now the last example refer to this Cockcroft-Walton voltage multiplier circuit. So to calculate the examples of this voltage multiplier circuit, they need all these equations, where delta V represents the ripple voltage peak to peak value. It is I upon Fc n into n plus 1 by 2. Average ripple voltage magnitude is I upon Fc into n plus 1 by 4. It means delta V peak to peak by 2. The voltage drop is I upon Fc, I upon Fc, where F is frequency. So I upon Fc into 2 by 3 n cube plus n square by 2 minus n by 6. The optimum number of stages up to which we can obtain the maximum output voltage from the voltage multiplier circuit is Vmax square root of Vmax Fc upon I. So beyond this optimum number of stages, the output voltage of voltage multiplier circuit gets reduced, so efficiency gets reduced. The maximum of maximum output voltage by considering optimum number of stages can be calculated from this formula, n optimum into 4 by 3 Vmax, and of course by taking the difference of the maximum output voltage and the voltage drop, we will get the maximum voltage. Okay, so 2n Vmax minus delta V. From this formula we can determine the Vo max value. So let us see the problem statement. A Cockcroft-Walton type voltage multiplier circuit has 8 stages with capacitances all equal to 0.05 microfarad. The supply transformer secondary voltage is 125 kilovolt. If the load current to be supplied is 5 milliampere, find the percentage ripple, regulation, optimum number of stage and maximum output voltage when frequency is 150 Hz and frequency is 200 Hz. So available data are n is equal to 8, that is the number of stages. N is 8, I that is given as 5 milliamperes, F1 is 150 Hz and capacitance is 0.05 microfarad. So let us solve for the 150 Hz first. So ripple voltage, okay. So peak to peak ripple voltage from this formula delta V peak to peak I upon Fc n into n plus 1 by 2, where n represents number of capacitors. So as we have 8 number of stages, the number of capacitors will be 16, because the voltage multiplier circuit is the cascade connection of voltage doubler circuits, and in voltage doubler circuits there are 2 capacitors. Okay, so as 8 stages are there, so number of capacitors required are 16. So delta V peak to peak is 90.7 kilovolt, and the average ripple delta V peak to peak by 2, that will give us 45.3 kilovolt. So our requirement is to calculate percentage ripple. So percentage ripple is delta V upon 2n Vmax into 100. Delta V upon 2n Vmax into 100. So from this formula, delta V upon 2n Vmax into 100, we will get percentage ripple. Okay, now in this case you can calculate the example by two ways. One, either you can take secondary voltage of transformer as maximum voltage, or you can consider it as RMS value. So if you are taking it as RMS value, then you have to convert it into the maximum voltage by multiplying root 2. Okay, so if you are taking this 125 kilovolt as maximum value, then it will give percentage ripple as 4.53%. If you are taking 125 as RMS value, then it will give 3.206 percentage. Here I have forgot to write root 2. Okay. Regulation. So from this equation, delta V is equal to I upon Fc. From this formula you can calculate the delta V, that is the regulation or the voltage drop. So delta V is equal to I upon Fc into 2 by 3 n cube plus n square by 2 minus n by 6. Now to calculate this voltage regulation, you have to consider per stage. Okay, so per stage voltage drop you have to consider. So here n will be your number of stage. In previous it was number of capacitor, but now to calculate the regulation you have to consider the number of stages, which are at as 8 number of stages. So n is now 8. Okay, you need to keep this thing in your mind. So delta V, by placing all the values, you will get 248 kilovolt as a voltage drop. So percentage regulation will be delta V by 2n Vmax. From this formula you can calculate the percentage regulation. So if you are taking 125 kV as your maximum value, then it is 12.4%. If it is RMS, if you are considering it as RMS value, then it is 8.768%. The optimum number of stages. So from the n optimum equation, which is square root of Vmax Fc upon I, okay, you will calculate 14 number of stages if you are considering Vmax as 125. But if you are considering 125 as RMS value, then it is 16 number of stages. The maximum output voltage. So maximum output voltage can be calculated from this formula: square root of Vmax into Fc upon I into 4 by 3 Vmax, where square root of Vmax Fc upon I represents optimum number of stages. Okay, so correspondingly you will get 2333.33 kV if you are considering your 125 as maximum voltage. But if you are considering it as RMS, then you will get 3771.23 kilovolt. That is your maximum of maximum output voltage. So you can reach up to either 14 stages or 16 stages. Beyond that it will reduces the maximum output voltage. Okay, similarly you can also calculate for when the frequency is 200 Hz. So when frequency is 200 Hz, the percentage ripple is 3.4%, okay, or 2.4%. Percentage regulation is 9.3% or 6.5%. Optimum stage is either 16 or 19, and maximum output voltage 2666.67 kV or 4478.34 kV. So here you can see that if we are increasing the frequency, the percentage ripple as well as the voltage drop also gets reduced. Okay, so delta V, as you know that it is I upon Fc, inversely proportional to the frequency. So as you are increasing the frequency, the ripple factor goes down. So as ripple factor goes down, the voltage value increases. Okay, and here you can see it is satisfied. Okay, so this is how you can calculate the design parameters for the Cockcroft-Walton voltage multiplier circuits to get your expected level of DC voltage magnitude. Thank you.